Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette. We're so glad you're with us today to stay curious with our good friend and partner of the National Space Society, Mr. Burt Dicht. Burt, welcome.
Thanks, Mark. Always good to be here.
Well, thank you. We're always glad to have you here. Burt is on mostly once a month, and he he travels a lot. He goes to a lot of neat places, both for his work and for your passion for the space, and
Absolutely.
you're involved in a lot of other things there. So Marty Winkle's on our board here. Marty, everything looks fine on my end here as we were efforting some little snafus as we go along here. But welcome to everybody out there watching across the fruited plain and across the world, in fact.
Absolutely.
As you've been on us now for about a year or so.
It's been over a year.
And
Yes.
but Burt also does a podcast, that video podcast for the National Space Society. He'll be doing one tonight. We'll show you the promo of
Yes.
that at the end. But what's going on tonight with your podcast, Burt?
Well, these are called space forums for the National Space Society, and we do them Thursday nights, typically 2 a month. So today we've got two great friends of ASM, Tom and Mark Usiak, and we're going to share some great space launch photos and other photos they've taken throughout the course of their careers. So it's really going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
And they'll take your questions.
Yes.
And of course they've been on there. You'll see the poster here at the end as we get going there. Interesting day on the Space Coast. I'm quenching my thirst on a hot, muggy day with some Danny's Rocket Ranch Astro Arnold Palmer drink there.
Looks good.
Tea and lemonade, and it is pretty good. And let's see, Danny's Rocket Ranch is where you're going to find this. His website, certified Arnold Palmer drink mix that tastes out of this world. And it's not too bad. 10% of Danny's proceeds go to scholarships for students to attend space camp in Huntsville, Alabama.
Very good. Yes.
And if you're local, we've got his hot sauce and
I've had his hot sauce.
daiquiris and
Yes.
stuff like that in
Yes.
there. So
Great.
check us out there. And thank you, Dave Stange, for my Detroit mug there that I've had now for a couple years. Carlton Bailey's saying hi to us already.
Hey, Carlton.
As is Jubilee. We're going to show you a picture or two that Carlton's taken today. As let's just get her rolling here. There's Burt there, and with Ad Astra magazine.
That looks like me. Yes.
That looks like you. Here is the issue that's been on the stands for a while. A new one coming out, you said, next month?
We have one coming out this month. It'll be the second issue of the year. We coincided with the ISDC. So if you are attending ISDC, you'll get a copy. And then it's going out to all of our members later this month.
Rod Pyle does a great job of editing this. What is the ISDC?
The ISDC, and we're going to talk about that a little later, is the International Space Development Conference. It's an annual conference put on by NSS. This is the 43rd year.
That's amazing, really.
And I went to the very first one
No way.
in 1982 when I was
Mom and Dad took you in the stroller
No.
to it, huh?
That's right. I'm that young.
Yeah.
But it was I was a young engineer at Northrop in LA, and the first one was held in Los Angeles, and it was just, for me, this was an opportunity to meet people I only knew about from watching them on TV and from so on. And I just had an amazing time. So I've probably, over the years, like I said, this is 43, I've probably been close to 20 of them.
Awesome.
Yep.
This is the dreamers of wanting to do things in space, communities in Earth orbit and on Mars and beyond. And I mean, our Earth has a terminal lifetime, like all of us Earthlings on Earth here. And it's about humanity reaching out. And I say dreamers in a very positive way. Though it's been 50 years since we've been back to the moon.
That's true.
You know, it just shows you how hard it is, but we need the people to be ready when with these concepts of growing food in space. What other things might people learn about that?
Well, it's about growing food. It's about space law. It's about just getting us off the planet. It's about the moon, Mars. We are also doing one on space history, which we'll talk about.
Yep.
And then I also have a great session I've started. This will be the first time we've called the Rising Stars. These are university college students who are interested in space as well. So they're going to be presenting on some of their interested topics, some of their research, some of the projects they're doing in school, and also just things they're interested in. So it's going to be really exciting. So I'll share a little bit more about that a little later in our session today.
Robert Laws chimed in from Dundee, Scotland, and Dean Babcock says good afternoon. Steve Jokums, talked to him today up at Fox Lake, Illinois. He gives us Marty, Burt, and I greetings.
Hello
and
there.
Dave Stangy up in Macomb, Michigan says he's a proud member of the NSS.
Thanks, Dave.
And he enjoys the magazine there. So you can become a member. What is the membership of the NSS?
We have three different main memberships. If you are a full-time student or a teacher, both on the pre-university or university levels, it is $40 a year. And we also offer what's called a digital option, so that's $10 less. So you wouldn't get the printed magazine like this one, but you would have complete access to our library online going back 15 to 20 years.
Awesome.
There's also senior membership for those 65 or older, and you and I are both too young for that, right? And that's $51. And again, you can get a digital membership. And regular membership is $62. But if anyone is interested in membership, we have a great introductory rate for $29.95 for the first year. So just reach out to me, Burt.Dicht, D-I-C-H-T, at NSS.org, and I will be glad to send you all that information.
Yeah, $45 a year. I was at a Titusville Chamber of Commerce luncheon that was excellent.
Right.
It cost me $35 to eat lunch. You eat a lot of lunches out. And
That's,
kind of
yeah.
like going, that $10 lunch can become a $20 lunch awful quick.
Very fast.
Yeah, very fast, and not eating hot dogs, but a pretty good meal. But well, good. We got,
Yes.
you know, Burt's become a great partner, and you become a good friend of mine personally. I enjoy seeing you at events, and
Same
things
here,
like
Mark.
that, and
Yes.
you certainly are aligned with our mission here to
Absolutely.
preserve space history. And so let's kick it off. What
Yeah,
Burt's got for us today. He's got some interesting things. So we want to talk about, of course, the news that's hitting the coast hard here. Hotels don't mind it because they were full up a couple times and then the scrubs happened.
Yes.
But Axiom is on hold because of problems on the International Space Station, they say. You've heard what's going on, Burt.
Yeah, because it was originally scheduled, of course, I think Sunday, then it went to Monday, and then, of course, they had the LOX leak in the rocket, and so, you know, that was Wednesday, and then it was no earlier than Friday, was what I saw. But then today I hear that it's postponed indefinitely as Roscosmos and NASA work out this leak on one of the Russian modules.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll talk about that briefly. There's Carlton Bailey's beautiful shot of
Beautiful, yes.
The Falcon 9. How many times is that booster used? Did you?
I don't know on that
I
one.
don't know.
Yes, I don't know on that one.
But there's the dragon on top of it. And Carlton, you sent me this. I love this picture here.
Oh, that is a fabulous picture.
Yeah, up there. There's the gantry that the astronauts get in. Not sure who's up there or why. I know my knees would be knocking together up there at that height of about 220 feet.
I should let you know that back when I was an intern here at the Kennedy Space Center, we did a series of walk downs, as they were called, that the engineers would take us to different parts of the Space Center so we would become familiar with them. And this is all the interns. So we actually went up to the top of we went to 39A. So we got to crawl over the rotating service structure.
Oh, okay.
And also the fixed service structure, which is what that is. And we went up to that top level. Now, when we did it, there were no rails. So I remember the engineer who took us up there He really wanted all the interns. I want you to stay away from the edge. He said, if I lose an intern, I'll be doing paperwork for weeks. So yeah, we definitely stay away from the edge. But I also had a chance to climb up partially the lightning rod, so that you can climb up
Really?
inside the lightning rod. It's that big. Yes.
Huh. We've got a replica of it here in the museum here. Thanks, Steve Jokums. He said this is the second flight
Second flight.
for
Wow.
this
Okay.
Falcon 9 rocket. And yep, there's going to be other launches.
Now, where did Carlton take that picture from? That is an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I've complimented him on
Yes.
that pine tree in the foreground
Yes.
there. Yeah, he must have been around with the snakes and the gators and
Yes.
so forth when he was setting out remotes up there. So Mark Usiak says, "Hey Burt, Pad 37 is no more. Bring on the Starship out there. That will be a day.
That
when
will
we
be
see
amazing.
That thing taken up.
Yes.
Everybody's pretty confident it will be launched here one day.
It's a big rocket, so it's going to be interesting. I heard when they launched the New Glenn, because it's so close in proximity to all the other pads, it did some damage because of the sound vibrations.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what Super Heavy and Starship would do.
Well, I was worried about the lighthouse.
Yes.
It's only a mile and a half away.
That's right.
And all that on there. Our famous lighthouse at Cape Canaveral, seen every rocket launch the last 75 years, starting with Bumper. About a month away, we'll be celebrating the Bumper launch
Sounds good.
in July
Yes.
up there. A little more about what the problem is. There is the space station in 1998, maybe 99, and 3 modules: Unity, Zarya, and Zvezda. And Zvezda, the Russian modules.
Is that the one at the top?
The one at the top, I think, is Unity.
Oh, Unity. Okay.
Okay, but you all can correct me on that. I know at the bottom's got to be Zarya.
Okay. Yeah,
the
I see the
docking
Soyuz there. Yes.
on there as the shuttle
Yes.
approached.
Yeah.
This might have been Cabanas and Kirkilov going up there to turn the lights on. But this is the core of the shuttle 25 years ago, about then, and they know that there's leaks in this.
It's been a while. It's been going on for a while.
Yes, but all spacecraft leak, and these are controllable. Now they're saying there might be a leak that they're very suspicious, so they want to check it out. And they've delayed this important mission for a private company. The ESA reps that we've had on the show here,
Right.
have gone home. They're
They're
going
gone
back
home.
Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep,
Okay.
Alex Carl said he's flying back Saturday. Sergio Palembri and
So it's going to
Luca
be a while.
Anicello
they're
here.
thinking. Yeah.
So yeah, they're resetting everything here.
Okay.
And here again is who's parked at the space station right now. And so those docking modules are right in there where the Progress
Right.
91 and Soyuz are.
Yes.
Is where they're saying the leaks are. They got another Progress marked there, and the Dragon 10 crew is on the side. They've been there almost 2 months, and then they were going to dock on the top, vertical from where the
Right.
Dragon Crew 10 is up there. So
Very good.
just to give you an idea, we love showing this on there. So. And I feel we're going to talk about the Astronaut Hall of Fame
Yes.
induction. Saw you had pictures on there.
Yeah.
Feel sorry for Peggy that she didn't get the love that she deserves because she was in
It's-
quarantine.
It is a great ceremony in those inductions. So yeah, to miss the energy and excitement of it live would be difficult.
Yeah.
But she was preparing for a flight. So
Yeah, and
uh,
some people might ask, why is she prepared going in the Hall of Fame while she's still an active astronaut? The criteria is 5 years after your last American
right.
flight.
She's now a private astronaut.
NASA flight.
Yeah.
And she's a private astronaut, so they put her in there. Go ahead, Marty, with some comments there.
Yeah, Mark, just a little more clarification on the leak. NASA says they're working with Roscoe.
Roscosmos.
Yes, that's it.
Yep.
On a new, trying to understand the new leak pattern.
Yes.
So it's a new
Oh, so
leak.
it's a new leak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Or pressure leak. Yeah.
yeah, thank you, Roscosmos, the Russian Space Agency. I had the privilege of having lunch many times with astronaut Jim Adamson, who was on the safety committee with astronaut General Tom Stafford for over 20 years. They had two Russian counterparts. They met every month.
Right.
And he kind of gave me some stuff I'm not going to share with y'all because Jim's a great guy and wouldn't tell me stuff if I was going to blurt it out to everybody. But everything was controllable. You know, there are aches. This whole structure here, you know, moves a little bit like a seesaw, but if you're a boat person like I've been, you know, someone gets on one end of the boat and you feel it on the other end reverberating
Yes.
through. There's some harmonic resonations that go
Right.
through, and these are 25-year-old
It
modules.
is and you know what it's facing out there in terms of radiation, heat, cold. It's things get old.
And all the
it's a
dockings
challenge.
it's been
Yeah.
to, okay?
Yeah.
Zevda is the control area, basically the basic controls there. Go ahead, Marty.
Yeah, Carlton's saying that shot was from the east of the launch pad on Beach Road.
Oh, okay. Very
All
good.
right.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
Good shot there, CB. Hope you're feeling better on there. So get away from the current events news here. Let's go back to the last century when a thing called dirigibles were, and I've not previewed Burt. I just came back from another meeting, very busy the 2 weeks of the month. Just had the Museums of Brevard meeting, the mob, over at the on Merritt
Meeting
Island.
with the mob. Yes.
Yep, and the 20 some great museums here in our county. So we didn't talk too much about your show. So tell me about the Goodyear
Well,
blimp that I
I
passed
don't-
by in Akron, Ohio.
I
Its
don't know
facility
whether
made
people
that.
realize this. This is the 100th. This month is the 100th anniversary of the Goodyear blimp.
Wow.
It first flew on June 3rd, 1925. The first ones.
Wow.
And they've obviously gone through evolutions over the years. And this is a picture I took because I had a chance to fly on the Goodyear blimp back in June of 1989. We boarded at the facility in Carson, California, which is south of Los Angeles. And you know, that's a picture as it's coming in. And it's really low tech. If you go to the next picture, I don't know if you can see them in there, but there are ropes that hang down from it. And as it's coming in, you know, there are crew members on the ground who grab the ropes and are holding it. As half the people on the, you know, in the gondola get off, then the other people get on because they're keeping the weight. And I was just laughing about how low tech it was. But it was a really great trip. You fly at about 1,000 feet, and this was above Southern California.
How many people in the gondola?
I think I believe there were 10, and that included the two pilots. And it's small. It was a small group that we were with, and we went all around the South Bay of LA. So Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, Torrance. It was about an hour, so you're moving along at about 50 miles an hour, and it is.
And what's pushing it?
It has the two engines with propellers that are pushing it.
Like a giant fan, really.
It's a fan, yeah.
Yeah.
And now this is actually a blimp. Everybody, if you want to know the difference, a blimp does not have any internal structure. It's what the air and helium in it are keeping its shape. But Goodyear has moved to a Zeppelin. Built by Zeppelin. And Zeppelins, of course, are completely rigid. The ones that Goodyear has,
metal structure.
It's a metal
like
structure,
we saw the
exactly.
Hindenburg.
The Hindenburg, but the
apart.
ones they have now are semi-rigid. So it gives them a lot more flexibility. And I think they phased those in around 2011, something in that range. But I just thought, wow, it's 100 years since they've been flying, and they're always great to spot when you're watching them. And being in Southern California, of course, they'd always be flying over and you'd say, oh boy. So I never thought I'd have an opportunity to actually fly on one. So I just wanted to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Goodyear Blimp.
Excellent. And of course, if you're a football fan, stadium fan, you've seen them. And I remember the Blockbuster
Oh
blimp,
yes,
you know.
maybe we
And
can.
what's
How
Blockbuster? Some people
about-
say that's what you got your VHS tape.
How about an ASM blimp?
Yeah, there we go. ASM blimp on there. Michael Bruno says he saw one parked outside the Orange Bowl years ago. And also, it's kind of the star of a movie,
Oh yes,
Black Sunday.
Black Sunday. Oh yes.
A terrorist movie.
I'm really surprised they made that movie.
Yeah, really on there. Marty, we've got a question there.
You got a question from RG Jubilee. Are the astronauts on the space station in danger of that leak? What happens if they have to leave the station?
Can't comment if they are in danger, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they've had a little emergency drill to make sure everything's cleared to the Crew 10 Dragon and the Soyuz MS-27, is it, that's up there
Yeah,
right now?
They
So that
they
they
are
know how to,
lifeboats.
that they have to get
Yeah.
ready. And a leak isn't going to suck them out like you would think in a passenger airplane. It'd be unless
That would be a catastrophic.
yeah, that'd be one of the whole modules blocked
Yeah.
off. So I would sense there, great question there, that they've honed up a little bit on their emergency training skills and make sure everything's clear and ready, because that's their only safety net.
But they have in the past, let's say it wasn't because of leaks, but because of danger of a collision. Remember, sometimes NASA would say there's something out there, and they would actually wait
Yeah.
in the capsules
Right.
as a safety measure, just in case.
Space debris he's
Yeah,
talking
space
about
debris,
hit it
yep.
in there. And though they were moving maybe they couldn't move the ISS to get out
Right.
of the way, so just in case. So see, we got some of the most intelligent viewers out there, and so we're glad that you saw it there. Mark UCX said he's seen it over the Daytona 500.
Oh, right.
Of course, Indianapolis 500, I've seen it at. You can hear it too from the ground, the propellers.
You can hear the propellers. You can hear the
Yeah.
engines.
Was it noisy inside the
No, it
cabin?
actually
up there?
wasn't too bad. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't too bad. The only complaint I had that day is Southern California. Sometimes it gets really hazy, and it wasn't the greatest day to view from above, but it was still kind of fun to do it.
Good. And as you say, there's Steve Jokums commenting about that Roscosmos trying to understand the problem. And I don't know, for this to come up at this point in time is just, there's something's not right about it. So,
Well, people
However-
will always speculate about
Yeah.
things like that.
well, this is space business. It's hard. This is a serious amount of money being spent that's not going to happen. In the ESA representatives coming here, the hotel rooms. I drove by a couple hotel rooms, parking lots full.
Full, yeah.
There at our Hyatt Place, our home for Shuttlefest for 4 years. Dana, the manager, had the whole.
Oh, so
There was
really that many people
for
come
the 7 o'clock launch the other day.
Yeah.
People came from Orlando to spend the night because they got a great viewing deck of it up
Did
there.
you see the article in, I think it was one of the local newspapers, that the launches definitely add tourists to the area, and it's interesting that the tourists who come for launches spend more than the tourists who are just here to be in South Florida or Central
Okay.
Florida. So I thought that was interesting. So we as space enthusiasts, we spend a little more.
Well, Tom Celentano, watcher of our program, he's one of those, and I'll show you some pictures of Tom tomorrow. I'll post one on Facebook. Enjoyed dinner with Tom last night, and we had him here on Stay Curious.
Right.
He was in the audience on here. So Tom Celentano, thank you for your nice visit and supporting our museum here. So, well, you got some other aviation
Yes,
pictures here
yes.
that just aren't exactly space.
Well, what I like to do, Mark, I like things that go very fast and make a lot of noise.
Okay.
So there are times I need to see high performance jets fly, and decided to go take a trip out to Las Vegas, Nellis Air Force Base, which is the home of the Thunderbirds, to see their Aviation Nation air show. So I've been to it several times before. It's usually in November at the end of the air show cycle, but this one was at the beginning. And it's a great show. Of course, Las Vegas has great weather, so you're really there's no issue probably with getting some rain or clouds. And it was a pretty spectacular show. So
What kind of airplane?
that
you looking
is
at?
an F-18 EF. It's an F. It's a Super Hornet. And I like to show this one is because I helped design the F-18 when I worked at Northrop. So it's always good to see that.
Bert, are you
was-
sure? Isn't that a Grumman F-14 Tomcat?
No, F-14s aren't flying anymore.
I know, but that one looks like an F-14.
Nope, that's an F-18. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, no more F-14s are in the air. I think Iran maybe still has them flying. That's yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That is an F-15E Strike Eagle. So that is it's the F-15 airframe. You can see there's a second weapons system officer in the back seat, and that's used for air to ground, and it carries a heck of a bomb load. Again, a great aircraft. And what you see taking off there is the newest aircraft in the U.S. arsenal. That is an F-35, and that is a single-engine, fifth-generation fighter plane.
See that afterburner glowing there.
Oh yeah, love to see the glow.
Yeah.
So this is actually an aircraft that is flown by all three services. This is the A version, which is flown by the Air Force. There is a B version flown by the Navy that is carrier based, and then there's also a C version by the Marine Corps, which actually can do vertical liftoff and takeoff like the Harrier. So basically, all three built into that single airframe. Of course, whatever the service requirement is, and what's on the ground there is a KC-46. That is the newest tanker that the Air Force has.
Okay. And
Yep.
Steve Jokins comments that F-18 and F-15 are both legacy McDonnell Douglas jets.
That is true. That is true. And like I said, the Northrop was a partner with McDonnell Douglas, which is now owned by Boeing, actually, on the F-18. So Northrop actually built the back end of the F-18. And when we lost the competition for the ATF, the YF-23, I was moved over to the F-18 Super Hornet. So
Well, it was a great shot. Nice lighting.
this
on it.
is
These are all your photographs.
these are all
right?
my photographs. This is the airplane that Northrop lost to for the Advanced Tactical Fighter, which is the first fifth generation aircraft. These are completely stealth aircraft that can fly supersonic without using an afterburner. So what you're seeing there is the Lockheed F-22, and you can see it's the bottom side. The bomb bay or the weapons bay is open. There's nothing that sticks out on these aircraft because that can reflect radar. So all of the missiles are inside this weapons bay. So they're ejected and they can fire off. And what I like about this image, you can see the exhaust. You can see the shock diamonds in the exhaust. You can just make them out. It's a supersonic exhaust.
Right
yeah,
there.
right
Those
there.
little
Yes.
puppy marks. Sorry,
It's just
shock
it's a
diamond.
pressure differential that causes that, and it's pretty cool to see that. But a really impressive aircraft. And then this is what I call, when you get caught between the moon and an air show. So
Literally, you
Yeah.
are right between the two there. Pretty
So-
shot there.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I'm going to ask the guys tonight, Mark and Tom, because I always see these images of rockets in the moon. How do they do that? I'm going
Right.
to ask them that tonight.
Yeah. All right. Marty, you got a question for Bert?
Yeah, I'm not sure which image that RJ Jubilee is talking about, but he's asking, is that the ship that the engine moves up and down and looks like it has a big butt?
The F-22 has thrust engine. What is it called? Thrust vectoring. So yes, it does move up and down, which gives it an incredible maneuverability. So it's called thrust vectoring. So I think that's
Okay.
what he was talking about.
All right, great.
And this is the heritage flight. So this is the F-22 flying with an F-5E. That's a Northrop aircraft that I actually did work on. I didn't design the F-5E, but about 35 countries flew it. And we would do upgrades when I worked at Northrop, and it's a much you can see a much smaller aircraft than the F-22.
Well, it sure is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Single
wingspan's half.
twin engine. This is kind of like the T-38. It's from the same family.
Okay.
From Northrop.
The
Yeah.
taxi for shuttle,
Yeah.
the Uber
yeah,
for
for the
astronauts.
astronauts. So, and here we are with the Thunderbirds, which is of course the highlight of the show.
Now you met Connie McDaniel. She's turning her head because she's a Blue Angels person. Okay.
They're different shows. The Blue Angels use the Super Hornet, which is a bigger aircraft than the F-16. So what the kinds of things they do are different than what the Thunderbirds do, because the F-16 can move in much closer. So they're different shows.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about the Thunderbirds here is that you see there's only 3 aircraft, and there's usually 4 in the Diamond. And I was wondering what happened, because usually if there's a problem with one of the aircraft, they have a aircraft 7 that they would use. What I found out after the show was that one of the pilot, they had a switch over in pilots. One of the team members had to change, and the pilot wasn't ready for the air show, so they had to get him trained up before they could fly that 4th aircraft. But you can see how beautiful they look together.
Oh, they are. Yeah, red, white, and blue.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting, I don't know if anyone has seen, there is a special on Netflix, a documentary on the Thunderbirds. They did one on the Blue Angels a few years ago as well.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was I went to the theater to see it too. I wanted to see it in the theater as well.
But I've recently seen Blue Angels a little over a year ago. And any of these shows, whether you're an aviation aficionado or not, you'll just be amazed at the synchronicity, the power, it's just an amazing.
And they're closest. They're 18 inches apart. Going 400 to 500 miles an hour.
Yeah, that Blue Angels, showed that really good.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the Thunderbirds, when that documentary was made, which was the 2023 air show season, the commander of the Thunderbirds, his name was Justin, and his call sign is Astro Elliott. Okay. And so remember, you don't come up with your own call sign. They give it to you. So I'm wondering, Astro, why Astro? And it turns out that as they're talking about him in the show, he had applied to the astronaut program, and he was talking about making it to different cutoffs, and he was down to the last 40. So he's got a good chance of becoming an astronaut, which has been his lifelong dream. Then the leadership of the Air Force came to him, and we said, we want you to command the Thunderbirds. Now, it's rare. He was a graduate of the Fighter Weapons School and also a test pilot. So it's really rare that a test pilot flies for the Thunderbirds. But he decided that he couldn't turn down the opportunity, and pulled himself out of the running for the astronaut program, and took over as the commander of the Thunderbirds that year. So
big decision.
Yeah,
there.
big decision.
Nice
That is the lead solo of the Thunderbirds. And if you look closely, you'll see a number 5 right on the engine inlet underneath, but it's upside down. And you say, well, why is the 5 upside down? Because the lead solo spends most of the air show upside down, so you can see the number 5, the right side up. Yes.
Love the artwork on the tail.
It's beautiful paint job. Beautiful paint job. And there's the echelon pass, which is also very beautiful, and how they do that. So great air show. Always good to see that.
Yeah, had a little good time in Las Vegas.
Always enjoy going to Las Vegas. Yes,
right.
yes,
Well,
absolutely.
Well, Burt, let's get somewhere else. You've been. That looks like inside of Blue Origin.
Yes, the Astronaut Hall of Fame weekend, of course, that is sponsored by the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation. They had a great on the Thursday beforehand. They had us on tours. So first we went over to the New Glen
Now
facility.
this is you paid for the VIP.
I paid for
treatment
the
there.
yeah, I paid for it.
So this is
Yes, that's a group of us who paid for it. And they first took us to the Blue Origin facility where the New Glen is manufactured. I'd been there 3 years ago. So you go out to the manufacturing area, and it was pretty empty when we went 3 years ago. Got there, you should see that place. It is teeming with components for the New Glen. They had the first stage of the New Glen and its landing legs. It just incredible. Fuel tanks, the upper stage. It is really teeming, and they are getting ready to push those New Glens out. So it was really impressive to be back after being there 3 years ago to see the progress they've made.
see they had one maiden flight about 6 months ago.
January.
Okay.
Yeah. They're looking toward later this year for the second flight.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
tight-lipped about it. Every Blue
Yeah.
Origin person I say, when you launching again?
And
We can't say.
you see they're also trying to jump over SpaceX and actually send a mission to the moon.
Yeah.
And that's in the lobby.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
that is in the lobby. That is the Blue Moon lander.
Okay.
Yeah, that
They replaced their first. They did have a Falcon 9 in.
yes,
there for a long
they
time.
had the Falcon, not the Falcon 9. They had the New Shepard.
No, that's right.
New
New
Shepard.
Shepard and Blue Moon's going to be manufactured
And
in there.
you see the
Right at
you see the
campus.
stairway there.
Sure do.
So they had the New Shepard there. The stairway is the exact number of stairs that are actually on the launch pad when you are climbing the steps to get into the New Shepard capsule. So it gives you an idea of what you have to climb up in order to board the spacecraft. So, but I thought that was a really interesting lunar lander, and that I don't know, which one would you rather be on?
One with the longest spreaded legs. I'll tell you that right now.
But
And,
a very good visit there. Very impressive. And this was a secret. They didn't tell us where we were going.
I see Caroline Shoemaker there.
Yes.
The second lady in the right
yeah,
there.
Yeah, and
Just
Kay
stepping.
Heyer, one of the astronauts, is actually in front of me.
All right.
And astronaut
see
Joan
Kay.
Hickenbotham
Yeah.
is also there.
Kay's right above
Yeah.
your head.
Yeah.
I see Joan.
And we were this is the Space Systems processing facility. Used to be called the Space Station Processing Facility. So anything that went up to the space station was processed here before being taken out to the launch pad. So now they're leasing this out. So if you look behind us, you see a spacecraft.
Yeah, Sierra. Dream
That is-
Chaser,
that
right?
is Dream Chaser Tenacity.
Huh.
Yes. So Sierra Space has leased out part of the facility, and they're processing the spacecraft there.
The SSPF there, Marty.
Yeah, we weren't
You were in there
allowed
a few
to.
times.
We
huh?
weren't allowed to take any pictures, so they took this picture for us. And they are getting ready for its first launch, which will carry payload and cargo to the International Space Station. So what's on that will be attached to that. So we got a chance to see that. And what's interesting is they were telling us that the cargo module doesn't come back. It actually, because what they're going to be doing with the cargo module is putting trash into it, unloading the trash from the space station and then burning it up in the atmosphere. So they're not designed to bring anything back, but they are putting together a concept in case someone does want something to come back. And remember, initially, Dream Chaser was going to be crewed, and then they didn't win the commercial crew competition. So they decided to convert this to payload, but they will eventually carry crew members to the International Space Station or low Earth orbit on the Vulcan rocket.
A mini space
yeah.
shuttle in a way, and many of you, like myself, may have looked out at those windows there, looking down at shuttle workers working on the ISS components.
That's right.
I remember seeing the Columbus module in there
have you?
working
Okay.
down, and then they suspended that part of the tours in there. But yeah, there used to actually be bleachers, seats in there.
Really? I
that
didn't
you
know
could-
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
they bring the bus tour in there.
They actually
And-
brought the bus tour
Yep,
in.
and
Oh,
you'd
wow.
go in and walk out the other end of it there and get back on the bus. And
Right. No, it was
that was probably about 2005 or something
that
like
long
that. I
ago.
did it in there.
this
Yep,
was
so-
this was really nice, and you got to see this spacecraft. Eventually, Sierra Space is going to build their own facility to process these vehicles.
This was during last month's Hall of Fame induction of Peggy Whitson and Bernard Harris, which was a fun time, and you
Yep.
got some pictures. You and I were sitting near each other
Yeah,
on this
this-
excellent panel. I really enjoyed
This was a panel on spacewalks,
Mm-hmm.
and the moderator was Joe Kerwin.
92-year-old Joe Kerwin.
He was so
Yes.
great.
Awesome.
Oh boy, he was just.
I got my picture taken with him too.
yeah.
I'll tell you that. He was
I sat at the table with him at breakfast,
okay.
so got to meet him, his daughters.
Tell us who else is there in the line.
Yeah, on the far left is Jerry Ross, of course, who has a record of 7 space shuttle flights.
Mhm. With Franklin Cheng
yeah,
Diaz,
yeah.
the most.
And then, of course, you have Bernard Harris, who was inducted.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Tanner, who, of course, was at your Shuttle Fest. And then of course, Joe Kerwin. And they were just talking about the different aspects of spacewalking. And because Joe Kerwin had to do several spacewalks with Pete Conrad, as they got, remember the Skylab was damaged when it took off.
Now,
and-
technically, he was in the command module holding the ankles of it in there, because he said to me, "I don't get credit for an EVA." and
Oh,
I
he didn't get
should,
credit.
'cause
Okay.
he was inside. Pete was driving
Right.
He was holding. Kerwin was holding.
So he didn't actually get credit.
No, he did not.
Okay.
For a spacewalk, and the crew of Jared Isaacman's second
Yes.
that he did, they got credit for an internal.
Even though they didn't
EVA.
actually get out completely of the
Yeah.
spacecraft.
They're
Yeah.
inside, they were exposed to space just like Kerwin
Yes.
was.
Yes.
Very interesting. He said that. Of course, Joe Tanner there. They had a lot of good stories there.
Yeah.
Marty's
oh,
got a question going back to Dream Chaser here, I believe.
Michael Bruno is asking, is the cargo version the same size as the manned version of Dream Chaser?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The cargo version is actually a module that has actually that's on the back of the spacecraft. So that is the full Dream Chaser. The cargo module is something completely separate.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like a big trunk on the
Yeah,
back
exactly.
of it
Or trailer that you're
there.
carrying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also surprised at the gold instead of the blue on the blue moon.
Oh,
there.
that's right. That's right. Yes.
Did they say anything
And I
about
didn't
that?
even. That's a good question. Should have asked about that. Yeah.
Because RG Jubilee asking about that there. So this was an awesome panel. Just a couple, of course, Jerry Ross is not credited for one of his EVAs because it was a Department of Defense mission. In fact, STS-27 that luckily made it back safely. But I've heard him at a lunch that I went to openly talk about that.
Right.
That, I don't care what they say. I've done 11 spacewalks, not 10 up there. And of course, Joe Tanner, if you all met him at our Shuttle Fest, you know what a wonderful earthling he is.
Oh,
and
great
just
guy. Yeah.
and Marty, I'm just thinking of paying Joe T's way every Shuttle Fest. Okay, because he was just that much fun and engaging.
He was
in
great.
there, yeah.
Great talk on servicing.
And Don
the Hubble.
Thomas too. They're always any astronauts welcome, of course. But what a legend there. Actually, he was the first true doctor to go to space. I
That
think,
is right. Yes.
For on the I'm blanking out. Yeah, on the right there.
Oh, Joe Kerwin.
Yeah, Kerwin.
Yep,
Joe
yep,
Kerwin. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
No, he did a great job moderating.
yeah, he did. He
Yes.
did.
Yes.
There's my girlfriend.
Yeah, this was the international cooperation panel. So of course, Michael Lopez Alegria
On his 67th birthday,
yeah,
he looked like he'd just been working out. He was buff as could be, man.
and he gave his talk before this about Axiom. I thought was really fascinating. That
Who else? Tell us the
yeah, so Julie Payette, the Canadian astronaut, Of course, Bob Crippen in the middle there, that we all know, Norm Thagard, and then Bob Cabana, who was actually the moderator. And again, another great panel.
And that's where I've been sharing with everybody what my question to the panel was. Why do they have to deorbit the entire space station? Can't they break off the Kibo module that's like 11 years old and keep it floating around and put it back to something else? And remember Bob's response?
I don't remember what he said.
He said you can't do that. It is
It's not designed.
Not designed to come apart.
Yeah.
That would even be more complicated.
Right.
But that the whole ISS has to be deorbited as a whole thing.
Right.
There is going to be a SpaceX vehicle up there with propulsion.
Yeah, they won the contract
up there.
Right.
And it's going to deorbit it. But he even insinuated that the last crew might leave like the day before the deorbit. That it's so complicated for them to orient it. They want the solar panels just right orientation.
Right. So they need to have crew on board.
Yep.
Okay.
And so very complicated. He said it has to come down as one whole piece, or you have pieces and parts flying over Africa, Europe, maybe as it comes down the Indian Ocean.
Right.
So smart man, that Bob Cabana. And if you don't think he was been running NASA for as the assistant administrator. When politician Nelson was
Bill Nelson
was the administrator, I'm pretty sure he relied on this great
absolutely.
astronaut.
And Pam Melroy too.
And Pam Bowe was behind there, and I even said something at the year before this when he retired. I said, Bob, are you enjoying retirement? And he said, I'm enjoying not running America's space program. Is way he put it to me. So if you ever met Bob. He just wants to be called Bob, a guy that's been to space a few times.
There you go.
An awesome commander, and 12 years as the director of the Kennedy Space Center. Just a few months longer than Kurt Debus, and he is the one that orchestrated the management.
I'll tell you what he did a nice thing when Eileen Collins did the premiere of her documentary Space Woman.
Yes,
I was there at the Center for Space Education, and Elizabeth Schneider.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, supports
Space Lady.
Elizabeth supports working with kids who are in orphanages, and there was this young girl who just wants to be an astronaut, and we were able to get her a ticket to come, and. We were waiting in line. She was waiting in line to get a signature on Eileen's book, and I saw Bob Cabana, and I just said, "Hey, Bob, would you come over and say hello?" So he talked to her for a good 10 minutes, and it was just you should have seen her face.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Excellent Earthling, Bob Cabana.
Yep.
He did a Make-A-Wish young boy.
Yeah.
Spent the whole day, and then that evening I gave this young man a stargazing tour.
Yeah.
Up there, and we got to share that. I can't do enough of those things to get up there. So then we got a couple other things here.
Yeah, this is the astronaut scholar panel. And I don't know if you saw that.
No, I did not.
Okay, you would have.
I had to get back here to do the show.
So these are the astronaut scholars that get awarded from the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation.
Like $15,000 each.
Yeah, and so the person on the far right is Larry Bradley. Larry was an astronaut scholar back in the 90s.
Oh.
He now works for the Space Telescope Institute.
These are all graduates of the program.
These are graduates, or they're in graduate school now, and they really focused in on a number of them are very involved in astronomy. And
Yay.
And I was just laughing that you should have heard the things they were working on. I mean, it's just incredible. You would have loved it. And the guy in the blue jacket there, Will Jarvis, he's not just an astronomer, he is a drummer, an accomplished drummer, and he's also an accomplished astrophotographer. and he had some of his pictures there that he was
Yeah, I
displaying.
talked to Will and,
Yeah.
talked about his pictures there as astrophotographer.
And I had to
yes.
get one. He had this amazing one of the Andromeda Galaxy.
yeah.
Did you see that one?
Yeah, that was one of his good ones.
Oh
yeah,
boy,
definitely.
it was just incredible. So,
Yeah.
so I'm actually going to be working with them to organize a space forum for us,
Great.
with Larry to talk about that. So,
Us being the National Space Societies,
Yes.
we're talking with Burt Dicht here.
Yeah.
Comes on about once a month when he's in town, and shares some of his travels in our spacey world around here. And
Yeah.
but no, this is what the Scholarship Foundation does, founded by the Mercury
Yes.
astronauts, and in 1999. And Wally
no, I think it was the mid '80s.
mid 80s. Thank you.
Mid '80s, yeah.
And Wally Schirra, Mercury astronauts, said this might be our most important legacy. As
I think
Mercury
they've done.
astronauts.
I think they've done 900 scholarships
Mhm.
since its inception, which is incredible.
It is, and they boosted it up from like 5,000 to 10. Now they're giving $15,000 scholarships to help them
What's-
out. They bring them back and tell them where you're working now and
Yeah.
all that
Oh.
stuff. I've been to Spacecom was a panel
Oh yes,
that I was
that's
on
right. There was
with
one at
that
SpaceCom.
in there.
Exactly. And
So
so it was what was fun about this is, for the first time I ever went to an ASF event, I didn't know much about it. I heard about it, someone had told me about it, and I'm there, and all of a sudden Tom Stafford's sitting next to me on my left. Jim Lovell is right behind me. I'm like, this is pretty cool. But in the end, you realize it's for this amazing purpose,
yeah, it is.
to help inspire the next generation.
You weren't at the cocktail challenge.
I was not at the cocktail challenge.
Yeah, well, you would have seen a martini go for $2,200 because that's what they do. They, instead
Yes.
of cutting a check, they have a lot of fun, and people.
It is an amazing cause.
It certainly is.
Yes.
The Astronaut Scholarship Foundation.
Yeah.
Now there's the Memorial Foundation, Astronaut Memorial Foundation, that is in your building where you're at.
Yes.
And that's the Space Mirror. But there's so much more than the memories of the fallen astronauts. They are really
They're focusing on
STEM,
education
STEM
too.
education,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
in
Mhm.
there. So, what else you got for us, Bert?
Oh, well, there's a picture
little-
with Joe
There's your
Kerwin.
brag book there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was very lucid. He really wanted to talk. Looks like
Oh.
he's a Texas Aggie there.
He was
Didn't
just
know that.
fabulous to talk
Yeah,
to.
92 years old,
Yeah.
and going strong. He was there last year too.
Yeah, was he with
I think he was. He was there last year. Going the wrong
Going
way.
the wrong
Peach
way. There we
Fuzz.
go.
All right.
And that's Katie Coleman and her new book.
Yep. She wants to come to Shuttle Fest.
Oh, wow, fabulous.
I got her card in my pocket. In fact, we
Yeah.
talked a little bit
Oh,
there.
fabulous.
Well, I'd love to have her and Nicole Stott at the same Shuttle Fest because they shared time together. Katie went up there when Nikki was on her Expedition 21.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of him in the cupola and
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff in there.
Yeah. And of course, Bernard Harris, the honoree.
Boy, he was nice.
He is, I have to say, one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
You know, just such a cool guy.
Yeah. he had his daughter with him.
Yep.
And Joe Kerwin had his daughter there.
He had two daughters. He had two daughters.
And
yeah.
they wanted pictures of the daughters with the
Oh,
fathers.
yes.
We shared
Both
that
medical
on
doctors.
Stay Curious.
Yep.
Yep. Bernard Harris, 2 flights, the first African American to do a spacewalk, and of course he's out there doing great things every day.
Yep. And I don't know if you know who that is.
I don't.
That is Ed Dwight.
Okay.
Okay. So Ed Dwight was an Air Force pilot in the early 60s. And
Was he part of the mole program?
No,
he wouldn't
no.
have been.
President Kennedy was hoping to get an African American to become an astronaut.
And Lawrence was chosen.
So he actually went to the Aerospace Research School that was run by Chuck Yeager. But for some reason, he was never selected as an astronaut. If you look him up, they're obviously there's always questions about what happened, but he ended up leaving the Air Force at the rank of a captain. He never was able to become an astronaut. He became actually a very accomplished sculptor, and he has sculptures at several state houses around the country.
His name again?
Ed Dwight.
Ed Dwight.
And he flew on New Shepard Flight 25.
Oh,
So he went above the Kármán line.
he's a Carmenaut then.
Yeah, he went above the Kármán line and replaced William Shatner as the oldest person ever to do that. I think he beats him out by days.
No way.
Yeah, so he's 90 something, 90.
Yeah, Shatner was.
Yeah, Shatner was the oldest for a
Yeah.
while, beating Wally Funk.
Yeah.
And then Ed Dwight took over.
He
as the
looks great
oldest.
for 90.
He was
sure.
so nice to talk to. He was made an honorary guardian, of the Space Force in 20, as it was formed. So he's going around. I mean, it was just. I think Bernard Harris wanted, having someone like that, a pioneer there, it was just great. And that's astronaut Steve Linder. So he was at my table at the gala. So
Linder?
what?
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Yeah, Lindsay. Yeah.
And he and his wife, they were just so great to talk to. We were having a great time with conversation. And there's our friend John Zarella,
Yep.
who's
Z-Man.
who moderate, who
Got to get
moderated.
him on the program. He said,
Yeah, he's
"Mark,
never
you
been
ne-"
on the program.
He has. He said,
Yeah.
"Mark, you never call me," and I'm going, "Well, I'm worried what you're going to say." No, not really.
He was on
Legend of
CNN.
CNN, really an architect of the cable news networks. One of the early guys. Covered how many shuttle launches?
Oh yeah, quite a few. He was actually on my space forum. We had him once, and very entertaining. So
Yeah,
and does a great
absolutely.
job moderating.
He was the master of
Yeah,
ceremonies.
both
for all these
both the
things.
induction and the gala.
See, Peggy Whitson's up there, and we were just talking about this STS 111 that I call Three Aces. That's a shuttle of the month of
Right.
May.
Oh, right.
Five.
Right.
That was Peggy's first flight 20 some years ago.
Incredible.
And this is her fifth flight.
There's Jerry Ross, who's introducing Bernard Harris.
Oh, did he? I
Yeah,
wondered
at
who
the
did the honors there.
yeah at the induction.
That's interesting. Jerry, a proud Boilermaker, boiler up, and they're happy with what's going on in Indiana with their basketball team.
Oh yes, that is
in
true.
the NBA Finals.
And there's Bernard as he accepted his induction, and you see his two patches for the two missions there.
I never got to ask him how much German he might know because he was on the D2 mission, heavily
Oh,
influenced by the German
Right.
on there.
And this was a hard picture to take. They let you, the group shot of all the Hall of Fame astronauts in attendance, and I tried to get up there, but it's bedlam when
There's Gregory
Oh,
there,
yes.
and of course Kathy Thornton,
Yep.
and you see on the right side is Roy Bridges. Behind him is Brandon Steen, and Thagard's off the end up there, and I see looking over Katie is Cavandy
Yes.
up there. So yeah, it's quite a. I didn't go to this event, but this was free to people that paid their ticket.
As long as you have
Space
admission.
Center,
As
yeah.
long as you have
This
admission.
was under Atlantis.
Yeah, this is under Atlantis.
Some of the pictures you showed was at the Saturn V at the dinner.
Yeah, that's the later ones here. Yeah, that's at the dinner.
Mhm.
At the gala, as they call it.
Yeah, he was really a warm, friendly guy. Had a lot of family, of course, in there. This is the Hall of Fame. This is immortality.
Yep.
Up there.
There is
And,
just
That's why I say it's kind of a
Great.
shame that Peggy was in quarantine and had you could looked in the future and known that they were going to have that one delay, she would have been able
I
to.
met
attend
her
it.
when she visited the Intrepid. I was going to try to dig out the picture. I've got a great picture with her when I was a volunteer at the Intrepid. So,
But yeah, we can't emphasize enough what the Scholarship Foundation does for the whole community. It's not an inexpensive ticket, something that once you pay for, though, you're
look
welcome
at it.
that you have.
I look at it as it's going to a good cause.
Yeah.
And so I earmark it, every time, even though I'm
You
officially retired.
budget
It's
for
budgeted.
it.
It's in my budget. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
It might be in yours, and I need to get it in mine. Though they were very kind to me and let me hang out at the
That's
event
great.
at the
Yeah.
at the
At the
Hilton,
hotel. Yep.
which was a blast. So thank you, Astronaut Scholarship Foundation,
Great event.
for all that you
Every
all do.
Exactly.
And I've been told they're just going to use 2 astronauts a year. They
They
had
have
4
done
one year, and
They,
it
they
gets really
typically have done
long.
3. Oh, it became very long
Yeah.
in ceremony.
And
Yes. Yes.
and one we've talked about some of the qualifications. Some of it is a squeaky wheel gets the grease. You promote yourself a little more than others, you might get in. I'd like to see Mike Baker get in there, Marty. He's got 4 missions, twice a
There's some
commander.
great astronauts who aren't in.
Yeah, and I would just say this, that there's in fact Zarella and John Zarella and I talked about next year, January will be the 30th anniversary of the horrible Challenger accident,
Right.
and there is some ground swelling to put all those 7 astronauts in the Hall of Fame,
Okay.
and then right behind them, the Columbia
Columbia.
astronauts maybe. But there's nothing in the Hall of Fame that really honors them, so
Right.
there might be something along those lines.
Very good.
Well, let's get to
Okay,
we're on the
just
home stretch here.
Yeah,
with
a couple items for NSS. As we mentioned, tonight is a space forum, and our good friends Tom and Mark Usiak, who are going to be sharing some of their great images over the years. They've been covering space for 50 years.
Yep.
Since Apollo 15.
At least Tommy has.
Yeah. Well,
He
Mark
dragged
was,
his little brother with
Mark
him.
was
yeah,
at Apollo 16.
Yeah. Mark is the only person under 16 given an NASA badge or something like that. He'll tell us there. But if you wonder where that picture's taken, I stood there. That's at Udvar Hazy, and that's Discovery in the background there.
Discovery in the background, and that is a remote camera shot of different images of the STS-114, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And so if you are interested, everybody, we welcome to have you tonight. It's at 9 p.m. It is using a Zoom. If you'd like to, you need to register. So you can either go to one of our NSS social media sites on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram, and the link is there, or go to nss.org and just hit the blog post, and you'll be able to get the link to register, and you can register almost up till about before we start at 9 o'clock. So
I'll be watching tonight, and
hopefully
hope
you
you
can
all
join us.
are. Good luck with that. I've watched many of yours, not all of them, but one that sticks out in my mind is you had Emily Carney, Space Hipster #1,
yes.
and Bruce McCandless III on there.
Yes.
And Bruce was very engaging, and we had him at Shuttle Fest with Emily there.
Great guy.
And a book that they, where's that book with Chris Kelly's artwork on it?
Starbound. It's a great book.
On there, it certainly is. So, guys, good luck there to USAC brothers. Mark or Tommy will have to stay up late probably there. Maybe he's taking a nap. Took a 2 o'clock nap or something, so he can catch up. Of course, I'm teasing him. These 2 guys are just amazing, and have brought a lot of people to us.
It was great once. I got a delivery in the mail. Tom had sent me a USB drive with a whole bunch of his photographs that I cherish. So that was kind of nice.
Well, let's change the subject to what's you're going to keep you busy.
Yeah, I'm
a week
really
from this
busy
weekend.
right now with the International Space Development Conference, as we talked about. This is the 43rd year that we're doing it. It is in Orlando. Coming up next week, starting June 19th to June 22nd at the Rosen Center Hotel in Orlando. And we're expecting about 1,000 people. We're still getting people signing up now. But
you can get a 1-day pass.
Yes, you can.
For $100. There's a code that
I'm going to be sharing a code. And if you're realizing now, people might not be able to travel here, but if you're a Florida resident, we've got a special discount too.
Yeah.
So we've got, I think, I'm going to say, I know that the challenge is astronauts, but we've got, I'll say, 11 space travelers, because we have a couple of Virgin Galactic astronauts, as they are called. But we also have, of course, Cyan Proctor. Jared Isaacman is coming. We've
This will
got
be interesting. Jared
yeah.
Isaacman just
yes,
the NASA administrator
he's
to
getting an
be
award.
and
He's
kicked to the curb a little bit there, but I'm sure you'll probably have a media group there.
we've got I think about 10 different media people who are signed up, so it's going to be interesting to see.
And I've heard Mr. Isaacman talk before. He's very glib, honest. Very humble guy.
Yes. Yeah.
He's in his early 40s. He married his elementary school sweetheart.
Right.
He got 2 or 3 girls, a big family man. And what is his, he created
Shift 4. I think?
Shift 4.
Yeah.
He dropped out of high school because he was bored and created Shift 4.
His own company at that time.
A company that now controls about a third of the hotels.
Payment. It's a payment system.
Payment systems
Yeah.
in there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there's the discount that you
Yeah,
can get.
isdc.nss.org. If you're a Florida resident, you can get 40% off. So, and for the day, we hope to see you there. Like I said, we've got Jared Isaacman, Simon Proctor, Chris Ferguson is coming, Hoot Gibson is going to be there.
Hoot Gibson.
Susan Kilrain, Winston Scott. I'm doing an astronaut scholar panel as well, and Tony Antonelli is the astronaut is going to be
really?
moderating.
Tony looked through my
Yeah.
telescope.
Oh, there you go.
At
So
an event where he's at the Holiday Inn seeing a bunch of kids that went to his school in I think North Carolina or something.
and one astronaut I've never met in person is going to be there, Story Musgrave.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a great group. Great. So
Yeah,
we're going to have a great time. So hopefully you can make it there. One of the things I'm doing now, I've been involved in STEM education for a long time, and NSS is a great organization, but we haven't done enough for students. So this year, for the very first time, we are doing something called the Rising Stars session. These are all university students, undergrad or graduates, who are doing great things in research. And as I said, their projects. So they're going to be making a presentation. Each of them, you see we have 15 that are coming. This is going to be on the Friday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. We've got 2 Air Force Academy cadets who are coming. Embry Riddle is very well represented. And of course, Ginger Chen, who you had on last week.
Yes.
So
Ginger in there? Yeah, there she is in the middle up there.
Yeah, so she's going to be presenting on that cognitive mapping of astronauts.
We had a great program with her. And also Embry Riddle is just up the road in Daytona Beach.
We've got University of Central Florida.
Ron Guerin and Nicole Stott, graduates from
Yes.
there. One other astronaut I can't think of there. So, well, that'll be fun for you.
It's going to be great. It's going to be a great session. So we're
That'll
looking
be
for
fun
that.
for
And
you.
then the other one you know very well.
Well, before I forget, we'd be remiss to say that our executive director of our nonprofit foundation, Gabriel Rothblatt, is the chairman.
He is
You
the
don't wanna
chairman
get-
of the. You're right.
You don't want to get in trouble with him.
I'm going to get it to merit. Yes. But yeah, he is the chair of the entire conference.
Yeah.
Yes. So
And,
he's put a lot of work into this.
And in fact, there's a Rothblatt Award that's given out.
That is the for the best business plan,
Mhm.
and that was Martine Rothblatt who sponsors that. So there are 3 top presentations that are invited, and then they'll pick the winner. So they give a first place, second place, and third place for the best business plan that actually moves us forward with space settlement. So that should be great. That's another great presentation we offer.
Carlton wants to know if there's a media sign-up page.
There is a media sign-up page. Carlton, we can reach out if you want to reach out to me. But yes, we can get you in for media. Absolutely. Yes.
And yeah, I'm humbled to be a little bit a part of this.
Yes. So Mark and I are actually co-sharing for the very first time a space history session. And this is going to be Sunday, 2 o'clock. And, we've got 3 great presentations. We've got, of course, Jay Honeycutt, who did that amazing recorded presentation that you shared at Shuttle Fest on the history of human spaceflight. So Jay is going to be there. We're going to watch the video, and then he'll be answering questions. So that is really going to be great. Then, of course, we've got Jamie Draper from SANS and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, who's going to be talking about the history of Cape Canaveral's first Air Force station and now Space Force station, and its role in contributing to our spacefaring civilization. And then we've got another special presentation with Michael Haddad and Scott Bangan, who gave what I think is one of the greatest presentations I ever saw at the Shuttle Fest last year on the Astro project.
Yeah, Shuttle Fest 3.
Shuttle Fest
Well,
3.
yeah, it was the
It was-
Astro. It was.
They talked about the missions, then they talked about the restoration that they're doing, and that's going to close out.
There was Astro 1 and 2
Yep.
with Sam Durant's on board. And if there'd been an Astro 3, Scotty
Scott-
would
he
have
was a
been
payload specialist.
Scotty would have been the payload specialist.
Yes.
Trained as an astronaut
Yep.
with them. Of course, Mikey's been busy. He hasn't been on the show in a couple months because of Shuttle Fest planning that. But he's written a book on the payloads. You've watched the show. So fascinating. We'll get Mikey back when he cools his heels after
Yeah.
this on there.
So if you're local, Mark and I want you there to cheer us on. So we
Absolutely.
can get, so come
Absolutely.
there, come there for that session on Sunday.
uh,
You can't get to any other part of the ISDC.
And Jay and I worked together for a year. I put the
Yes,
the
it's
slides together on this
It's
off his
fabulous
brilliant
presentation.
thing, and then he had
Nicole Stott narrates.
Yep, and his son-in-law put videos and polished it up. It's just a little amazing that Jay's done this. A brief history of NASA human spaceflight for the museum, so we can sell it to you on an upload or a thumb
Yep.
drive, and we're getting involved in doing that right now. So
It's going to be a great session. So hopefully we'll see you there.
thank you very much to be part of that, and also give a little local thing here.
Ooh,
January
yes.
28th, the Saturday after that, Winston Scott and the Jazz Cats are going to be playing. Winston, if you didn't know, went to Florida State to become a musician, an
Yes.
expert trumpet player.
Yes.
Loves Miles Davis, and then he joined the Navy ROTC, and the rest is history, become an astronaut. And he plays once a month at the Italian American Club in Melbourne. This is a special event for the Space Pioneers Club
Very
at
good.
Cape Canaveral. So if you're local, you can get a ticket for this on spacepioneers.com. So,
Sounds great.
yeah.
Very good, Mark.
Thank you, sir. Very good there.
It's been a
to
great
you.
session.
And
yeah.
great. And Jim McDade just gave us one of the best compliments. Marty, he says, I learn something new every time I watch Stay Curious. And Jim lives in Huntsville.
Oh,
He
okay.
was one of the first people on Space Hipsters.
Oh,
And
right,
you
right.
might have seen his name on there frequently. And he found us a little bit ago. And glad that you're visiting us frequently, Jim, and staying curious. Met him at the at Zorella's during the
Right.
cocktail challenge there.
Okay,
So
nice.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Marty, anything over there to clean up on our Streamlabs production, my friend?
You may want to read Carlton's comment,
Okay.
which I think most of us
No,
know.
no, we don't.
Okay.
No, that's fine. We all know that. We know that Jarvis was a payload specialist, and McCullough didn't make it to space. We're just talking about them being memorialized in some way at the Hall of Fame in there, which is very deserved for them. But that's a little bit off base there. That's fine. They do this. We're at issue that Charlie Walker's not in the Hall of Fame. 3 flights in 18 months, and he was a payload
Yes.
specialist,
And
not a mission specialist. Payload
And a-
specialist did not get astronaut.
you have to be an actual astronaut.
in a class.
in a class,
In a
yeah,
class, a
yeah.
distinction there.
And
But,
he's, by the way, he's our former president of the National Space Institute.
Yep.
So, which is the
Uh,
predecessor to
Oh, is
NSS.
he? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So he actually, it was fun. It was great. He was here doing the astronaut appearance, and he had sent me a note. Hey Burt, are you going to be in the office today? And so he always likes to stop by our NSS office when he's presenting there at the visitor complex.
Yeah, well, you've got his space flown card in there
I've
that
got
I
his
took it in
National
there,
Space
so,
Institute card, and I've got another one that I haven't hung up, which is L5.
the L5
He
Society.
took both cards up to space.
All right.
Yes,
Well, thank you, Burt.
my pleasure.
Great
Mark.
job as
Yeah.
usual. You're always welcome to come here and go out for the next 30 days and go harvest some
We'll do
more
some
stories, because we know you enjoy hearing these stories of space centers and so forth that maybe you don't get to go to. And Burt, don't slow down. Keep
Okay,
doing
absolutely,
it, brother, on
absolutely.
there. So Marty, thank you for a great on a Thursday here where I'm thinking it's the end of the week, but it's not. We've done about 1,305 episodes, and happy that you're part of that, Burt. So,
Always a pleasure.
so
Yes.
thank you all. So tomorrow we're going to do some Friday space news and views and just kind of see what's up in space history. And so hope that you can come back and enjoy us then. But catch it here. I'm just going to put it up there one more time. Let's go back here to see the USAC brothers tell it like it is in the trenches of
Yep.
space, just like Carlton Bailey out there for over 700 launches. So go to the NSS. Again, how can they sign up?
Just go to any of the NSS's social media sites.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Or the easiest way might be just go to nss.org and just hit the blog button, and you can get the most recent blog, and it has the link to register. So very easy to do, and you can always drop me an email, and I can send you the link to burt.dicht, D-I-C-H-T, at nss.org.
There you go.
Hope to see you there tonight.
And be there, be square. So until tonight and until tomorrow, I'm Mark Marquette saying on behalf of Burt and Marty over here, we appreciate you watching, and we can't wait to see you again to bridge the space between us.
Take care, everybody.